welcome to Burning Waters of the Moon Tarot. My name is Desiree. This video is a reading for the energy of Aquarius. So for this series, I am using True Black Tarot by Arthur Wang, Lux Umbra Tarot by Mystic, and this is an oracle deck called Earth, Moon, and Shadow by Serafina Mesa. And we will draw an oracle card at the end of the reading to tie everything all together. All right, so as I said at the beginning, that this is a reading for the energy of Aquarius, and I say that because we all have Aquarius in our charts by way of the house system. So you may or may not have a planet or another placement in Aquarius, but you most certainly have a house in the sign of Aquarius. And what that means to me is that we all have Aquarius energy within us, right? We sometimes need a little bit more help, or we need a little bit of oomph to get us to reach that Aquarian energy. But either way, it's there and we can access it should we need to access that energy. So good news for you, good news for me, good news for everyone is that if we need it, we can use it. We just have to know how to call it and be brave enough to step out of the box that we sometimes put ourselves in. All right, Aquarius, I'm going to do one more good shuffle, okay? And then I'm going to pull out 3 cards from this deck, and those are going to be the main energies that we're going to work with for this reading. All right, Aquarius. So we've got the 7 of Swords, air energy, in reverse. We have the Knight of Cups. That is fire of water. And then we have the 10 of Swords, air energy, in reverse. Okay, so the Swords suit is not a very easy suit, okay? But with these being in reverse, I feel like you're coming out of this energy, or it might be that there is just some residue of these types of energies. So we do have the 7 of Swords, which is deceit, masking in a way, just something that is going on behind the scenes that you may not be aware of. Another thing that this could mean is that you are aware of it, but on a very intuitive level that you're not quite understanding at the moment. And then we do have the 10 of Swords in reverse, and this is like a finale type card. You know, this is an ending. And let me show you. This is the 10 of Swords upright, and we do have a bird sitting atop that hilt, but his friends have unfortunately met their end by some of these swords here. But we do have a victor at the top, and that bird is going to be alive for another day, is going to fly away into the sunset perhaps. So what I'm feeling here, especially with our Knight of Cups, is there might be a situation in which you're trying to express yourself, you kind of you're putting yourself all out there. You're leading with your emotions, and it may have in the past brought you to a place of sadness, or a place of an ending in a way, and perhaps that, you know what, let's go ahead and draw, because there are too many ifs that are going on in my head right now. So I'm going to use this deck here to give us some clarity, okay? To give us a little bit more information on what these 3 cards are trying to tell us. And if for any reason, Aquarius, this reading isn't resonating with you, try scrolling through the videos list and finding a video based on title. Find a title that catches your eye. And sometimes we just need to use some intuition to try to help us through a situation, to try to help guide us through a situation, to find answers. And as I said, we all have all of the zodiac signs in our charts. So it doesn't matter if you're, say, in a Leo reading or if you're in a Scorpio reading, okay? It just might be that this situation is calling for the lens of this particular energy. Or it could be that you're needing to tackle this situation with that particular energy, if that makes sense. And sometimes the whole reading might not resonate with you. It might just be a portion of the reading, and that can get you on the path that you're needing to go. So when we're trying to solve things, we need to get as much information as we can and then use our big old brain on top of our shoulders to help guide us, to help us find out what it is that we need to do. And it's all a synergistic workings here. We need intuition, we need experience, logic, knowledge, wisdom. We also need action. So, okay, that is my last shuffle. Okay, Aquarius, let's see what we have for you. So we've got the Page of Cups in reverse, Six of Cups in reverse, Three of Wands, Seven of Pentacles in reverse, King of Wands, High Priestess, Seven of Wands in reverse, Six of Pentacles, and Six of Wands in reverse. Lots of wand energy here. Okay, got two cups. Let me show you your spread. Beautiful. The colors of this deck are just amazing to me, and big shout out again, I cannot thank them enough, to Ula Tea Leaf Readings and Dove and Serpent Tarot. Lenore has been such a wonderful presence in my YouTube journey, and she, along with her husband, gave me some pointers on my lighting, and it has helped so much. And that is why you are able to see this beautiful spread here, is because they are who they are. They're a wonderful team, and of course they have the experience as well, and just willing to share. So thank you both. Y'all are awesome. Okay, let us see. So it's very interesting for me to see that we have the Seven of Wands down here and we have the Seven of Swords up here. And even more so interesting is that this wand here looks like a sword, but it's on fire. It looks like that this might be a hilt. So I feel like you were in a situation with these two cups here where you came into a situation, and you came into the situation a little blindly, okay? The pages are an immature sort of energy, and they're still learning, okay? Not to knock the page energy, but they're still learning, they're still experiencing. They're not quite jaded, as you would like to say, as you could say, but they're open to new experiences, and they haven't quite started working within their traumas yet, so they're still kind of open, and they haven't been hurt. And so they come into situations with an open heart, open mind, open soul, and sometimes that can be taken advantage of. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that the situation that you found yourself in, you were very open to it. You were very you felt like you were putting in the emotion and the vulnerability that needed to happen within this relationship that was blossoming. But for some reason, the there was a person who, the person that maybe you were dealing with, or maybe even a third party, they kind of put in a notion of deceit. And so the Seven of Swords being in reverse tells me that this wasn't an outright deceit. I feel like maybe this was a situation in which the deceit came out of necessity, and it wasn't because they wanted to deceive you. They just did not want to stall the relationship. And however, it seems like you may have found out about it, and you weren't quite exactly sure how to deal with it. So then we come with this Knight of Swords, or Knight of Cups rather, and I feel like you kind of grew from this situation a bit. And not only did you grow, but you were able to, it looks like you were possibly even able to forgive this person. You were able to forgive, and you were able to move on from this situation and continue being in their presence. You were able to allow them to still be a part of your life, which is amazing. However, we do have this situation here, this Ten of Swords, this ending of sorts, and I feel that you're moving on once again. You were able to allow this to be forgiven, if you want to say that, and you were working to try to keep this relationship together. You were working to keep the flame alive, as indicated by this Three of Wands here. But I think it started to play on your mind, and you started to think that this may not be the exact situation you want to be in. You've kind of maybe in a sense started to understand a little bit more about yourself, and deciding that this isn't the type of energy you want the relationship to be built upon. And so in a way, you've kind of distanced yourself from the situation, and you're on an intuitive level, your doubts are starting to set in. And so I'm showing here with this King of Wands is that he's air of fire, okay? And air of fire, this person, he's very cerebral, he's very logical, he knows what he wants to do and how to do it, and then he's not afraid to act on it. And so that's what I'm seeing here, is that you've kind of have it in your mind now that this situation is over with. You've learned, you've grown, and you want something a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more that really gets to you on a soul level, which is indicated here by the High Priestess. You are really wanting something less superficial, I guess you could say, because the forgiveness that you granted and the relationship that you did build, I think still in the back of your mind, this deceit still didn't quite sit well with you, because not only is it a circumstantial thing, but it's also a defining characteristic of how someone will react. And I don't think you are really ready to let that go. So this reading is seeming very specific. So this might not resonate with everyone, because this situation over here seems pretty specific. But I do see that there is a desire to try to find a different pond, to say the least, to try to find, I mean, and I don't see that there's any hard feelings here. I think that maybe perhaps you grew from this relationship, but the other party didn't quite as grow as fast or in the way that you thought that they would. So it's almost like the growth has just the gap between the two between you two has just grown a little too much, and it's not fulfilling you in the way that you really thought that it was going to. So that's what I have here for you, Aquarius. Let us pull from the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle and see what extra nugget of wisdom we can get from this deck. This is a beautiful deck. I love both of these decks. All three of these decks, I guess I should say. And as it turns out, all three of these decks were Kickstarters. This Lux Umbra Tarot was the very first tarot deck I backed on Kickstarter. And this Earth, Moon, and Shadow I backed a couple years ago. And Arthur Wang's True Black Tarot, this one up here, this was a Kickstarter, but I bought this particular deck secondhand on eBay, and it wasn't until after the fact that I found out that this was an actual Kickstarter. So, great decks. I mean, beautiful, beautiful artwork. The card quality is amazing. I often find that is the case with Kickstarters, though it's not always the case. I've gotten some pretty crappy cardstock before. But, I mean, even with mass market decks, I've gotten some pretty bad cardstock. It's kind of a crapshoot when you go with Kickstarters, though. Okay, Aquarius. Let's see what we have for you. So we have Spiritual Hearth, Comforting, and Well-Being. What a pretty card this is. Let me show you this card. So it's called The Nest. And the nest is right atop her head. The colors in this deck are just amazing. Okay. So let me read. Let's see. EQRST. It's in alphabetical order. Spiritual health, comfort, and well-being. Within you, there is a stillness and a sanctuary to which you can retreat at any time and be yourself. Birds, excuse me. Excuse me. Birds are highly revered creatures and believed to have a direct connection to the spirit world. They only build nests where it is sacred and secure. So to find a nest near the home is seen as a good omen. A bird's nest is a long-held symbol of the home, renewal, and all things benevolent. The legend of the nest is one that can be tracked back to German and Nordic cultures, where birds' nests were often seen as symbols of prosperity, health, happiness, friendship, and good luck. When the nest comes up in a reading, it is calling us to spend time and effort needed to build our spiritual nest, to home within ourselves that we can return to over and over again, and for sanctuary and peace. Our spiritual journey towards healing requires a safe, compassionate place for our souls to dwell and heal. We must create a space in our mind, heart, and life where compassion and safety surround us and fiercely protect the boundaries that have been set on all sides. The Nest card asks us to build a safe, still place within ourselves where we can turn to for comfort, peace, and answers. To achieve this, we must start by building a practice of love and compassion for ourselves. Each time we show ourselves kindness, we add to our spiritual nest. Every time we show up for ourselves, every time we say no when we mean no and set boundaries, and allow ourselves to feel joy, the stronger and sturdier our nest becomes. The stronger the nest we build, the more profound the healing, renewal, and prosperity that will follow. So perhaps it was that you were deeply hurt by this betrayal, or, whatever this was, this mask, this, and you really tried with an open heart to really give effort to building something, but ultimately you just kind of, it's time to put an end to it. It was something that you tried and it didn't work out, and you need something a little bit more meaningful, or you need something a little bit deeper, a little bit less superficial than what this past has offered you. And perhaps you're hurt, and it's just time for you to go into that nest and recoup, lick your wounds, and realize that you are a strong person. You did not need to have this deceit in your life, and just because you're a forgiving and loving person doesn't mean that you don't want something better for yourself or something different. So like I said, this is a very specific reading, it seems like, and it might just, reach a few of you individuals, but I'm glad this message is out there, and I'm glad to let you know that it is okay to move on. You don't have to stay. You're not obligated to stay. If your heart is not in it, then you shouldn't be in it. You've got to be all in and completely happy. So, and that's not to say that sometimes, because I was thinking about this morning, a friend of mine and my husband's, they went through a divorce, and I was thinking, it always reminds me that it's the human condition to always think the grass is greener. And the ex-wife is now sort of, she hasn't outright said she made a mistake, but she's just kind of complaining about what it's like to be single and how expensive everything is. And we're all feeling that tightening of the belts. We are too. Things are just so expensive, and wages haven't caught up, and it's like, are they ever going to catch up? And so I just feel that it's that condition, that human condition where we always think the grass is greener, is like a double-edged sword. It keeps us in search of something of betterment, right? Bettering ourselves, bettering our situations. But sometimes when we think the grass is greener, it might not always be that it's greener. So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you do have a past together, are there some good things that you can see? Are there some good things you can continue and try to build this relationship on? Can you seek counseling to maybe get these feelings out there? And sometimes that's all that it takes, is to just express yourself and let the other person know how that made you feel and how you're feeling. And those feelings don't putrefy within ourselves, because we get them out into the air, out into the ether, and we're no longer holding on to them. So yeah, that's my advice. There really is, it's not my place to say what should be done, and it's not anyone's place to tell you what you should do. Ultimately, it should be your decision. You can take in the advice from people that you trust, but really, those people are not invested in this relationship. They haven't been hurt the way that you've been hurt. They haven't been made happy the way this person made you happy. So they can't really give you a good, solid answer. It's got to come from you, ultimately. All right, Aquarius, thank you so much for spending time with me. If you do know someone who could benefit from this reading, please share, and hopefully they can find a little nugget of inspiration, or a little nudge in the right way, or just something to help that logical mind work everything out, and help that heart kind of know some things that maybe they didn't know before, that was buried down deep inside, and something, a color, a card, a word will bring that to the surface and help bring some clarity. So I will see you next reading. Take care.